The US military has been flirting with bullpup rifles for decades. The Steyr AUG or AUG, depending on your personal preference, the Israeli Tavor, the sci-fi-looking FN F2000, the RM277, but despite dating all of these bullpups, they never quite were able to lock one down and put a ring on it. All those defense contractor demos and all those PowerPoints, and the US still has never adopted a bullpup rifle as a standard infantry weapon. Even though these designs offer some major benefits over your typical rifles and carbines, the US military still doesn't want to play with them. So today we're going to answer why the hell not by looking at those benefits and drawbacks, previous attempts to make bullpups a reality, and who uses them now and what they think, all while trying to not enrage the legions of bullpup enjoyers and appreciators, which is impossible. But keep in mind that we don't have anything against bullpups, it's just that the Pentagon certainly seems to. Before we get started, we want to thank Odoo for sponsoring today's episode. If you're still managing your business with a mess of spreadsheets, sticky notes, and a patchwork of apps, stop the chaos. Odoo brings it all under one roof with a unified business management system that covers everything from sales to shipping to the shop floor. Odoo gives you full control over inventory and manufacturing from a single dashboard. You can track receipts, deliveries, point of sales orders, and work orders in real time. You'll see exactly what's moving, what's delayed, and what needs attention. You can automate vendor reminders, schedule shipments, scan components with a mobile barcode app, and update worksheets or bills of material on the fly. Whether you're running one warehouse or 10, Odoo keeps your operation fast, accurate, and fully connected. The best part though, everything talks to everything. Sales, e-commerce, CRM, inventory, manufacturing. It's one connected system, not a Frankenstein of bolt-on. So if you're done taping your business together with whatever software you can find, head over to odoo.com. Your first app is free. No trial, no credit card, no nonsense. You've got a business to run, let Odoo make it easier. In a bullpup rifle, simply put, the action and the magazine are located behind the trigger group, tucked into the buttstock. This configuration shortens the weapon's overall length without shortening the barrel. Instead of the traditional magazine in front of the trigger setup you get with an M16 or an AK-47, a bullpup just puts everything further back. That means you can carry a 20-inch barrel, the kind you'd normally see on something like a designated marksman rifle, in a rifle that's only as long as a standard carbine. For example, an M4 carbine is just a hair under 30 inches with the buttstock collapsed with its 14.5-inch barrel. The Tavor X95, which is Israel's bullpup rifle, is just over 26 inches long with a 16.5-inch barrel, and the FAMAS comes in right at the M4 length, but with a 19.2-inch barrel, giving it 4.7 more inches. And let's be honest, nobody is going to turn down 4.7 more inches in length unless it comes with a big drawback. So in bullpups, you're getting rifle-length ballistics in sub-carbine dimensions, and that's kind of the entire value proposition from them. That, and I don't know, they look pretty cool, but apparently looks aren't enough for the nerds at the Pentagon. Besides looks, the bullpup design does offer some real advantages over traditional rifle designs. First, it gives compactness without compromise. They're usually better for confined spaces like urban combat, armored vehicles, helicopters, dense terrain, stuff like that. Despite popular opinion though, 3 inches in length is a lot, especially when you're messing around in a vehicle or any other tight spaces. That compactness doesn't typically sacrifice ballistics because they're able to maintain full barrel length like we've already mentioned, which means better muzzle velocity and energy retention over distance. That matters if you want your 5.56 or 6.8mm round to yaw and fragment as intended to remain lethal. Weight distribution is another feather in the bullpup's cap. Their center of gravity is typically closer to the shooter's body, making it easier to alert carry like Master Chief or to maintain your aim while firing from unsupported positions like standing. Lastly, because of the length, they offer theoretically better suppression. You can suppress a bullpup without the can making the weapon ridiculously long thanks to starting off smaller. A suppressed M4, although they're great, they do get awkward fast in close quarters, and a suppressed Tavor is more manageable in comparison. So again, if they're compact, powerful, and controllable, why aren't we issuing them? Why the US keeps rejecting bullpups comes down to a few reasons. The biggest killer, and one the Pentagon and military leaders have called out when rejecting bullpups, is that the ergonomics and manual of arms necessary to operate them would take a retraining of the entire military. And yeah, that even means the Space Force, because even they have to pick up a rifle every once in a while. Reloading a bullpup can be slower and more awkward, at least in the hands of somebody trained on the M4. The magazine is behind your hand, close to your armpit, sometimes even behind your body armor, and this can make speed reloads and malfunction drills more difficult for some. To reload most bullpups, you have to rotate the weapon and sometimes remove your hand from near the trigger to release the magazine. Then you have to remove the magazine and insert a new one, obviously. It isn't the worst sequence, but compared to the M4 where you can just drop the mag and insert a new one without having to change much in your shooting position, like where your hand is, some people feel it is inferior. Besides that, the next biggest strike might be that bullpups also tend to have not great triggers. With the trigger up front and all the stuff like the sear and hammer in the back, this requires a long mechanical linkage, usually a bar or a cable to connect them, and every bend, flex, or joint introduces squish, creep, or unpredictability. The M4 and other traditional rifles have a direct, clean trigger system. With a bullpup, even with tuning, you're often stuck with a mad trigger at best, and that's not really ideal for precision shooting or CQB where fast, accurate follow-up shots really matter. Left-handed shooters, like me, also have some trouble with the ergonomics, and in some bullpups, the round is ejected right in front of your face, an obvious problem if you're trying to maintain good sight picture and alignment on your target. Real estate for all that cool guy stuff like optics, pecs, hand stops, and bipods can also be limited on bullpup. The M4 has ample rail space where the bullpups usually don't. Their shorter forend means less room to mount gear without blocking the ejection port or the muzzle. The last negative that we will address is everybody's favorite topic: logistics, doctrine, and institutional inertia. Let's say, just for fun, that the US suddenly decided to switch to a bullpup. You'd be rewriting maintenance manuals, training materials, range safety procedures, qualification standards, combat load carriage systems, rifle racks, slings, optics, holsters, cleaning kits, the whole shebang. You'd also be issuing new TTPs, which are tactics, techniques, and procedures for everybody. And all of that would have to be consistent across the Army, Marine Corps, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, National Guard, Reserve units, and allied training missions. That can get expensive and take a lot of time. This isn't to say that the US hasn't tried, honestly tried, to give troops a viable bullpup. Let's run through some of the greatest hits of US rejection. The FN F2000 was another one of the more futuristic looking rifles field tested by the US military. Designed by Fabrique Nationale, it was a fully ambidextrous, forward ejecting bullpup chambered in 5.56 NATO, and it looks pretty sweet. It featured a sealed system with casings funneled into a tube and ejected out the front of the rifle, an integrated optic with backup irons, simple takedown with no external moving parts, and a compact profile ideal for close quarters. Special operations units tested it, particularly those operating in urban environments where compact weapons and ambidextrous function were highly valued. But the issues piled up. The trigger was long, soft, and had poor tactile feedback. The weight Weight distribution was a little nose heavy despite being a bullpup, and that was because the optic was towards the front and the ejection system certainly didn't help either. It was overly bulky compared to the M4 and didn't play well at all with existing accessories or launchers like the M203, which at the time was still in service. And field stripping and troubleshooting in the dark or under stress was way harder than on AR platforms. While innovative, the F2000 just couldn't compete with the familiar, lightweight, and heavily accessorized M4s. SOCOM passed on it, and it was never adopted in large numbers. And that brings us to the most recent attempt in the RM277. Developed by General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems, and later True Velocity and Beretta, the RM277 was a bullpup entry in the US Army's Next Generation Squad Weapon program. Unlike anything else in US service, it fired a proprietary 6.8 by 5.1mm hybrid polymer case round designed to defeat modern body armor at long ranges. There were two variants, the RM277R or rifle for standard infantry use, and the RM277AR, which, guess, is the automatic rifle that was meant to replace the M249 Assault. Both had integrated suppressors, adjustable gas systems, a digital optic interface when paired with the Vortex XM157 fire control system, and yes, it was a bullpup. That meant longer effective barrel and a shorter weapon. All of that's great on paper. But despite being lighter than expected and offering excellent ballistics, the Army still selected Sig Sauer's XM7, now the M7, which uses a more conventional AR style layout and shares more commonality with the M4 ecosystem. Soldiers reportedly preferred the familiarity, manual of arms, and ergonomics of the SIG entry. The RM277's charging handle and mag changes were too foreign. The bullpup design was seen as too risky to field at scale, especially when new ammo, new optics, and new training were already being introduced. It was just a little too much at the time. Even US Special Operations units, which can essentially field test anything and pick what they want, don't use bullpups really. SOCOM has evaluated multiple bullpup platforms, and the operators still preferred AR-based platforms like the HK416, LMT Mars, or SIG MCX. That says a lot, that if a team that gets whatever rifle they want still goes with an AR variant over a bullpup, you kinda know at that point there's just a problem with them. Other countries, though, haven't had the same hang-ups about the bullpups, but they also have different operational needs. Israel adopted the Tavor for tight urban combat, but even elite IDF units sometimes still prefer ARs in many cases, and the country is developing their own AR platform for use to replace the Tavor. France at one point used the FAMAS, then switched back to a more conventional HK416. The UK stuck with the SA-80 and then spent a lot of time trying to make it work. Austria and Australia, it's a rare time I can say both of these countries together without screwing them up, well, they both love the Steyr AUG and its variants, but they're not deploying globally like the US does. Though Australia was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and Aussie troops are pretty cool, so shout out to them. I'm sure that Austrians are cool too, but I never interacted with them, so as a guy on the internet that says stuff into a camera, I can't say that definitively. Bullpups work fine-ish for smaller countries with narrow mission sets. They're less ideal for global expeditionary warfare like the US prefers, especially in varied terrain and mission profiles. The final verdict is that bullpups aren't bad. There's nothing really wrong for them, and if you love bullpups, you just keep loving what you love because love is love. They just don't offer enough advantages to justify upending the US military's entire small arms ecosystem. They're more difficult to reload, can be awkward for lefties, are less modular, the triggers aren't the best, and most troops just don't train enough with their weapons to confidently overcome all of that. The next US service rifle, at least for now, the M7, is still an AR-style weapon. Even with new calibers and optics, the core ergonomics remain familiar. Bullpups will always have a place in the gun world because they look cool, they're fun to shoot, and they're great in tight spaces. And I mean, it's just kind of fun to shoot something that's not normal. But for the US military, they're just too weird, too different, and not worth the headache. Let us know in the comments what your ideal service rifle would be, and if you think the Army missed its chance with the RM-277. And hey, if you think bullpups are superior in every way and that Eugene Stoner sucks, you can let us know about that too. I wrote this script and Savvy edited the video, and today I'm wearing this sick as Lego guy shirt from the folks, I'm pretty sure it's just one guy and he's a soldier, at Platoon Daddy. You can buy this and a lot more of their other designs at PLTDaddy, PLTDADDY.com, where they have a ton of cool designs. They just started doing designs with Ben Cantwell, who used to do stuff for Task and Purpose too. Back in the day, I've got a set of Ben Cantwell playing cards that are pretty sick. Anyways, if you want to check this out or anything else, go support them. Good veteran, maybe active duty, I don't really know, but I know he's in the Army in some way, shape, or form. Go check that out. And if you want to see what we have at the Task and Purpose store, you can go to store.taskandpurpose.com and use code ACTUALLYWATCHED for 10% off there. As always, I'm Kyle, your friendly ginger producer man. You are all dismissed, and I will see you next time.